Hello, everybody. It is Renee, and I am here with Sara Mulero today. Dee is got some family things she's taking care of, and so at the very last minute, Sara, as always, rallied to be here with us today and share her great information. So, welcome, Sara. How are you?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm a little frazzled. We had a little technical moment there. Thought maybe we weren't going to make it on the broadcast, but we're here. Okay, so Sara, where are you today? Because I know you're always in some other part of the world.
I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
I had that feeling. So, what's it like in Tulsa right now?
It's not bad. It's like in the 50s. It was cold this morning when I drove in, but it's not terrible. So it's
Yeah,
supposed to be freezing tonight. So we'll see. They're getting ready for a big ice storm, snowstorm Friday, Saturday. So I'll be gone by then for sure.
wow. What's it like in Texas right now?
It was chilly this morning when I left. It was in the low 20s. So
Oh, oh,
yeah.
cold. Okay, well, I'm complaining because I'm in the 50s. All right. So if you are logging into the broadcast, first of all, say hello. Tell us where you're from. Tell us what your holiday challenges are, because we will be doing some Q&A right towards the end. And if you could take a moment and just share our broadcast out to your friends, and if you are a clinic, share it out to your clinic page so that we can reach the most people possible during the holiday season. This is such a super challenging time. So, Sara, tell us kind of what you advise, what you do in your own life for maintenance and how you traverse the holiday season.
So depending upon, what part of my life I'm in, we'll say, I'm in maintenance right now. So kind of my thought process is to just maintain completely throughout the season, have some fun, but not go lose your mind because it's not worth it, right? So I like to try to do just little indulgences here and there. And it could be something as much as having a vanilla crispy instead of having an actual Rice Krispie treat. Just little changes that you can do. Because it's really not about what we're eating, it's more about who we're with and what we're doing. But we're easily taught that it's more about the food than it is about what we're really doing.
Yeah. So, what are kind of some of the old traditional things that you would have normally done during the holiday time that you have made tweaks for?
Oh boy. So I had a bakery at one point in my life, and I'm German. So I did lots of German pastries with my family, and that would be something we would start really working on December 1st, and cookies. And now I don't really do any of those types of things. I'm much like Dee, and I like to play with the ideal protein food and try to do copycat versions of different things. Or sometimes it comes into something completely different than what I was trying to make, and it even tastes better. So I like to just make copycat versions. In maintenance, it's a little easier because you can use different things like almond flours or flax seeds and things of that nature to get closer to what it might have actually been. But I tried to make mock versions of everything.
So even in maintenance, you're not going back to those old things, and I think that's a really challenging thing. Is that as you say, baking is like a tradition. For me, it was at Christmas time making tamales with my grandma. We would make like 100 tamales. So those things that we really relate to good times and to family and to that whole Christmas vibe. How were you able to switch your thought processes to being okay with not doing those sugar cookies and Aunt Mary's madeleines and all of those kinds of things?
Well, honestly, I had to have the uncomfortable conversation with my family and just tell them that, food for some people, and me included, is like a drug. And I I cannot allow myself to have those things, because just like a drug addict, I would go back into a spiral downhill. I would love to tell you that I'm recouped and sugar has no effects on me and I can eat it and whatever, but that's a lie. And my family actually understood, and we've made some different traditions, and it involves baking of things like, cherry squash and different stuff like that. But it was more about the feeling that we got of togetherness. Like, if my grandmother was still living, that we would all be in the kitchen talking and making fun of whoever, and, all those different things. And you can still recreate those same feelings, but without the unnecessary food. And so it didn't happen overnight. It took a couple of years and trying to figure it out. And this year I'm recreating my family Christmas from 10 years ago, since my grandmother had passed. So having that whole conversation with my extended family just took place about a month ago, about how we're not going to have hordes of alcohol. We're not going to have, all these different things that we may have once had, but we're going to recreate the family feeling that we had and the togetherness that my grandmother would want us to have.
Wow. How did you approach that?
Well, I'm a little bit bullheaded. So I just told them Facebook is a great place to meet whenever you live out of state. I said, hey, we need to have a Facebook chat and kind of go head to head with this. And everybody, of course, started talking about, oh, I'm going to bring the XYZ and this and that. And I said, well, let's talk about that, because, not only have I done ideal protein, several of my sisters have done ideal protein. And I said, we need to really approach this in a different fashion. And, there has been some drug abuse in my family and the extended family, so they kind of understand the whole sugar content in that. And when it came down to it, there were some feelings hurt, but at the end, everybody was like, no, we totally get it. And it's more about the family time that we're spending with each other, not what we're actually doing.
I love that you actually had that conversation. So how many years has it been since you, maybe you could just touch a moment on your story, so that those listeners that don't know you can really grasp the magnitude of how far you've come.
So I actually started Ideal Protein, it would have been this week in 2012. As a patient, I weighed 460 pounds at the time. And I will tell you, I did not go home that Christmas because I just wasn't mentally prepared to deal with everything, right? And I lived in South Louisiana. It was me and my husband and the cat, and we had steak and mashed cauliflower. And it was a fantastic Christmas, I thought, and moved on with my life. But the next year, I was a year in, about 200 pounds down, and it got close to Thanksgiving, Christmas time, and I had to start having these real conversations with my family of, we're not going to have the same Thanksgiving dinner that we had, once upon a time when I would cook, or the same Christmas dinner, or I'm not making 50 dozen cookies that I'm not going to be eating or tasting or whatever for you guys, when nobody really needs them. We just want them.
Yeah.
And, a couple of times that happened, that people were a little bit upset, could be offended, oh, she doesn't like me as much, she didn't make me cookies this year, blah, blah, blah. That's not what it comes down to. I love you just the same. I'm just not doing it. It's not healthy for me. So The first year was it was trials and tribulations, not going to lie. The second year I was down about 300 pounds, and my family started saying, okay, maybe she knows what she's talking about. She's completely different now. And maybe we'll try some of her recipes that she's posting online and blah, blah, blah. So we actually had a completely phase 1 Thanksgiving and Christmas dinner. And my family didn't complain. It was crazy, but wow. It just shows you that if you educate them, they can be open-minded. Now, is your whole family going to be 100% on board? No, that's never going to happen. But can you get a good mass majority? Yes. So, well, I did phase 1, and I was the only person that was doing a reboot. So
there you go. So your sisters have done Ideal Protein, is that right?
Yes, all 3 of my sisters have done Ideal Protein, and one sister's boyfriend / fiance, I think he's now fiance, he is also on phase 1. My dad's about to start phase 1. So they've all been through the journey. Now, did they start when I started? No. I was 300 pounds down, and that's whenever they decided that maybe this could be for them.
Well, it's such an incredible story. And the first time I talked to you, I was just so inspired by your guts, and I think that those of us, I'm in the category of the 15% of people who have lost a substantial amount of weight. I've lost 65 pounds in 3 times in my life. And, there's only 15% of all people that diet, that lose a fair amount of weight, that keep their weight off, in the long run. And it takes, I think I read somewhere, it takes grit. And I know that when I first met you, I got that sense about you, that you have that grit, that how many times did you try to lose weight and never succeded?
At least that I can recount right now, at least 10.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. I've been on Weight Watchers and Nutrisystems and, Jenny Craig and blah, 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 blah. And, ran 20 miles a week and did, we've done it all. And so having that digging down deep and understanding, what's your, we always talk about your why. What is your why that keeps you going?
So, and this is going to sound crazy, but this will give you an insight to how my mind works. I always look for the most negative things in life and try to turn them into a positive. And I know that in my personal life, friends, whatever, family, there are tons of people waiting for me to fail. And that pushes me to prove to them, I am not going to fail. I am not going to be the fat friend again. I am not going to be the fat sister. I am not going to be that person that you have me stored away as and wait for me to fail. So that is my driving force to keep me on the straight and narrow, is that I don't want to be the status quo that they're wanting me to be.
So that you touched on something that I think is really interesting phenomenon, is those people in your life that are closest to you that they feel almost scared, or they have that reaction about you when you start to do a major, massive change. Talk a little bit about how you went through some of those types of challenges and how you dealt with those people in your life.
Well, a lot of times you don't know people are treating you any differently because you've been this way your entire life, right? And after I lost about 100 pounds, I went back to Missouri, where I'm from, for a wedding. And somebody said, and it took me completely off guard, "Oh, I guess you're not the fat friend anymore."
Oh, wow.
And it took me a minute to digest it, and it still does even when I say it out loud now. And I thought, oh my God, that is the only reason why you hang out with me, is because I'm bigger than you and it makes you feel good about yourself. And so I didn't say that day. I went through the weekend and then waited to see if this person would respond to me. And do you know, it has been 6 years and I have never heard from her.
Holy cow.
Yes, because I no longer fit in her life as the fat friend. She had to find somebody else. And if you look on Facebook, she did. Found a new friend that is bigger than her that makes her feel good.
Wow. So in thinking about that, and we all have those people that make negative remarks to us. And, I had a friend one time that we were going to a Oktoberfest, a festival, and, she wanted to drink and party and hoop it up. And I was fine going along with that, but I wasn't drinking because I was on, a diet at that time. I don't even remember what diet I was on, but I knew that if I was going to lose some weight, I had to not drink. And I remember her saying, because I have long hair, she said, "Why don't you just cut your hair off and then you'll lose 5 pounds?"
Oh.
So in thinking about and strategizing for the holidays, remember that we're going to be going to parties. We're going to be with those people closest to us that make those snide remarks. And, when you're not drinking or you're not, eating all the cookies and all the chocolate fudge and all of that stuff. Let's give people some strategies on how to traverse that stuff.
Well, the easiest thing that I do when I go to some kind of an event is I always try to eat beforehand and then just get stuff on my plate. And God's honest truth is when you're in those parties and like, you know, just mixers and things, nobody's really watching what you're doing. They're too busy. I mean, and this is all of us being aware of what they're actually doing, not everything else. And so I'll eat food on a plate, but I may just play with it, eat what I can off the plate, don't really do much of anything else. Drinking wise, I always at least carry the tangerine water enhancer in my purse, or if I have a clutch in there, and I might just get some sparkling water. And ask the bartender to put it in like a martini glass or whatever it is everybody else is doing, so that I feel like I'm included, or a wine glass. And nobody really knows what it is. And as long as you tip well, the bartender doesn't care what he gives you, so it doesn't matter.
That's right.
But those are the things that I do. And if it's a potluck, which is a big thing here in the Midwest, is I always tell people, take something that's appropriate for you. And 9 times out of 10, that's what goes first, is the good stuff. They don't go to everything else.
Right. So tell us, what are you going to be making for Christmas? Do you do a Christmas Eve and a Christmas Day? Tell us kind of some of the recipes that you're going to be using for your holiday functions.
So Christmas Eve, and my family is not completely aware of this yet, so if they watch this broadcast, they're going to get surprised. Normally Christmas Eve was the day that we would go to my grandmother's house, and this is the day that I'm recreating for my dad. Wow. And we would do like appetizers, like shrimp and different little handheld things. So my aunt used to make this Jewish rye bread with some kind of a dill dip. And so I have been working on an ido protein version of that, and I've got it close to being finished. Between me and Dee and bread, I think we're pretty good on those. And like the little smoky, the cocktail wieners, so you can get the turkey version and do like Walden Farms grape jelly and Walden Farms barbecue sauce. That's what my family does, these very typical Midwestern appetizers. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to try to do everything phase 1 and then have some stuff that's not phase 1 for everybody. And then I'm going to do a whole lineup of mocktail mixers. So we'll see what we have. I think we found an apple teeny syrup, I think, by Jordan Skinny Syrup. And there was a couple other flavors. Jordan Skinny Syrups, they have a lot of good mixer things that are very alcohol-like. And if you just put them in fizzy water, nobody knows the difference. It's like the same.
Is that Jordan, Jordan?
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Skinny Syrups. Okay, I haven't heard of that brand. So cool. I'm going to check that out. And one of the things, well, before we get going again, let's answer a question down here. Julie says, my challenge is now. I'm so busy with the holidays, food prep, and wanting the quick meals. What is your favorite quick, satisfying meal?
So, Julie, I met you in Nebraska. I'm sure you remember that. I had a cooking event that I filled in for Chef Ferrati. My easy, quick go-to meal is anything that I can do in the air fryer, because you can put stuff in there from frozen and it doesn't even matter. I like to do cod, because I've been eating a lot more fish recently. I'll do cod and some broccolini in the air fryer for about 15 minutes together, and it is just perfect. And then finish it off with a flavored olive oil, and it makes my food prep super quick.
Yeah, and don't you think, Sarah, it's really about just trying things, and instead of sticking to old, chicken and broccoli, and then we get sick of it. Maybe having a strategy of just trying one new thing a week, because it's amazing how, honestly, I was probably a clinic owner for, about 5 years since. And then, in the last year and a half, I've really collaborated with all of you ladies, and I'm not really much of a cook. So I did a lot of salads, chicken and broccoli. And so it wasn't until, I started collaborating with you guys that I actually said, okay, actually one of my clients brought me the rhubarb and I was like, holy cow, I've been missing this for 5 years. And then the chayote, I tried that. Once I tasted the rhubarb, I was like, all right, I got to start trying these other things. But really, instead of sticking to stuff and like Julie says, my challenge is I want quick things, but I want them to be satisfying. Trying different things one per week or what's the strategy there for how you coach your clients?
Well, so personally, I mean, I'm no different than any other patient when I started this, right? I was that person, just like you said, Renee. I went to grilled chicken or boiled chicken or whatever and broccoli or cauliflower. And it was, I like to refer to that as chicken and cauliflower prison because that's where we and you get to thinking it is not sustainable. It really isn't, right? So no. I became a coach, and then as a woman, and anyone that is a woman can understand this, when a patient would ask me, well, what does a celery root taste like? Or what does this taste like? Or what is this? And I kept hearing myself say, I don't know. But it made me angry because I thought, I hate not knowing this stuff, right? I don't like to not know. So I challenged myself, and I'm a very picky person. Not that you would know from my recipe page or my journey or anything. Y'all, my food can't even touch on the plate, okay? So I'm very picky. I challenged myself in alphabetical order on our list to try every single vegetable once a week. I didn't get too crazy. So like, of course, the first one that I had never tried was celery root. And God, that one was an intense one to start with because it is hideous as a plant. I thought, okay, this tastes like a potato. I can do this. And then the next one I went through kind of like you, I did rhubarb. I'm like, okay, this is like a fruit. I can do this one. You have to just find what works for you, but don't limit yourself to what you think you eat, because what you think you eat and what you actually eat are going to be vastly different. This is stuff we didn't grow up eating. This is things that, in other countries is somebody's normal everyday food. But for the North American person, majority of these vegetables are very exotic.
True. Yeah. I grew up vegetarian, so this is kind of funny. But we had vegetables out of a can. So it was, green beans, spinach, peas, some lima beans, and I think and some salad. That was the big repertoire. And my mom was a busy lady, but even so, it was gross. And so, of course, I didn't like vegetables. So understanding that if you are going to maintain your weight, what are you going to have to do?
You have to make huge life changes, and that was one thing that I think I learned, Renee learned, Dee's learned, is that if we don't make the huge life changes and we don't make ourselves try something new, everything is going to fall right back like it once did. Ideal protein is not some magic wand or saving grace, but it makes you think. And that's the thing that I like about ideal protein, and makes you change what you thought you were only capable of doing. And so just like us, and you not being a cook and you trying all these different vegetables, it says a ton of different things about us, right? We're in a totally different mindset. And I can't say that I would be in a totally different mindset if I had done something else, because I have done something else and never had a different mindset.
Yeah. So one of the things, and I just recently had a client who she's a radiologist. She's extremely busy. She not only is a very busy woman, but she cooks for her husband, she cooks for her children, and then she was cooking for herself. And she was just like, I can't do this. I'm cooking Indian food for my husband. I'm cooking something else for my children. And I'm cooking my ideal protein food for me, and I'm miserable. And, she was really upset over the Thanksgiving holiday because, here she's cooking and cooking and cooking. And she was just like, just taking one bite of this, or maybe she had a little handful of almonds and or walnuts, I think. And she was she was like, in her mind, it was all about calorie restriction. So she was logging all these foods and keeping them around 900 calories. But obviously, we both know that she wasn't in ketosis.
Right.
And even though those foods may not necessarily have sugar in them, they were keeping her from burning her own fat. And she was so frustrated by it. And, you know, my suggestion, which she took, was you need to, first of all, you need to have a conversation with your husband, how important this is to you that you lose this weight and that you keep it off and that you maintain it. And then if you are expected to be the working mom and you know, be at the hospital all kinds of hours and then come home and cook all this stuff, how about gifting yourself with someone that comes in once a week and does all the food prep for the family, and then you alongside her do all the food prep for your ideal protein week? And she chose to do that. So I'm super excited to see the outcome of that. But just figuring out strategies that will make this point in your life different.
Well, and it always goes back to, and I know, Renee, you and I have done several interviews where you hear me say that I'm a recovered potato-aholic. Yeah. Growing up in the Midwest, I really literally ate potatoes 3 times a day, 3 different ways. And I wish I was kidding you, but it's literally a way of life. And one of the things that I even do in maintenance is I don't eat potatoes because I don't need them. We have tons of different vegetables on the phase 1 list, including rutabaga, that are 100% the same as a potato in every way, shape, and form. So that is, you know, if you would have met me 5 years ago, I would have been like, not eat a potato? Who are you? And now it's like, I think I had a potato like 4 years ago. I don't remember. So it's about making what seems like a small change. If somebody says, well, she doesn't eat potatoes, what's the big deal there? But it's a huge change in my life. And even for my family, who they still eat potatoes, the ones that are not in phase 1 or haven't done ideal protein. But when I come to an event or something, I bring mashed rutabaga. Yep. Or potatoes au gratin with ideal protein mac and cheese and rutabaga. So, you know, and they eat it and they're like, I didn't know it wasn't potatoes. Exactly.
Oh, that sounds interesting. So you make au gratin with rutabaga and the mac and cheese sauce?
Yes. So it's a recipe on my page. Cool. I blend up the noodles into flour and then make a cheese sauce with that. I actually did it in Colorado Springs at a cooking event. We did it there and it was a big hit. So, and you just do it just like regular scalloped potatoes and it looks just like the real deal and nobody even knows. They just eat it.
That sounds incredibly tasty. That's my own personal challenge. Maybe I'll videotape it.
It's fun.
If you guys are watching, tell us where you're from. Even if you're watching in the replay, you can always put replay and then I'm from wherever you're from. We like to know where all our listeners and viewers are from, and tell us what your challenges are. We'll go back through, if you're not live, we'll go back through the comments and address your challenges and respond to them. And if you have not joined Sara Mulero's Ideal Recipes, that's a tongue twister. Sara Mulero's Ideal Recipes Facebook page, you've got to do that. And I will put a link down there. And I have to say hi to Jennifer. She's my loyal client. Hi, Jennifer. And she follows us. She makes the recipes. She loves all of Dee's, and I'm not sure if she's tried some of yours, but I bet she has. But you know, tell us where you're from. Tell us your challenges and what you're going through during the holiday season. We've got Patty here from Holdridge, Nebraska. Thank you, Patty, for joining us. Okay, Sarah. So, oh, one more thing. If you would like our holiday recipes and tips guide, all you have to do is type in the word holiday and it will be sent to your Facebook Messenger and you can download it. And it has a lot of tips and some really just great recipes that are traditional holiday recipes. Let's see. Jennifer says, I definitely will try some of Sarah's recipes. Yeah, Dee and Sarah have the most creative recipes out there, and I've seen all of the recipe groups, and really, I think it's really fun, and not only that, it really is supportive and helps thousands and thousands of people. Sarah, you and Dee have been instrumental in just really changing the face of how we eat, and that's the key, because we're gonna have to keep a lot of those strategies for maintenance. So what are before we're of course our half hour's already up, but it always goes so fast. But Sarah, tell us your top 3 tips for going into the new year, and ways to look at how you keep going through your journey.
So the main thing, the number one thing, is know what your plan is, and know it with you and your coach. So if it's what you want to maintain through the holidays and then hit the ground running in January, so be it. But just be true to yourself. Don't set yourself up for failure. It's already a hard enough time of the year. Make a plan, sign on the dotted line with your coach, and stick to it. That's the main thing. Second thing is, if you're going to be hard, fast, and pressed like me and a bonehead and go through phase 1 during the holidays, have that conversation with yourself and prepare. Because if we don't prepare, we're going to fail. And that's not something that we mentally can handle, especially during the holidays. And then third thing to remember is just have fun. It's not about food. It really isn't. It's about enjoying your family and enjoying the time with them in the holidays, because nobody's time is promised. And so it's about really just focusing on them and enjoying your time.
I love that. All of those are great. And I encourage my clients to start switching that, whatever it is, the little light bulb in our brains that was from the past, and turning it from red to green, and opening up new thought processes and changing old habits, and turning negative situations into positive situations, negative thoughts into positive thoughts, and having self-care, and really learning to like ourselves. And when we look in the mirror, instead of beating ourselves up for those things that maybe we didn't accomplish, how about talking to yourself and congratulating yourselves on all of the small accomplishments that you have made in the past year, and having a big plan or a little plan or a mini plan, whatever it is for you, to go into the new year with great strategies and with self-love and self-care, and really recognizing how far you've come on your journey. And all of our journeys are going to have bumps in them. How many bumps along the road do you have, Sarah?
Oh God, tons. I mean, whether it be an emotional, physical, whatever it may be, it's life. You're human. It's going to happen.
Yep. Yeah. And that's what we, and before we get off, I want to touch on that subject. So the bumps along the way. So, another thing that I think a lot of times we think is things are just happening to us, when they're happening to everyone all the time, every day. And, just knowing that not taking care of ourselves is going to make those bumps in the journey harder. So what are your words of advice in that area?
So one thing that I've learned in the last probably year and a half, and it took that long, is that you have to care about yourself before you can care about somebody else. Because if you're not healthy, but everybody else is healthy around you, what's the difference? You're going to lose sight of why you're even with them. And being greedy is okay. Take care of yourself. I was never someone who ever put any focus on myself. I mean, and now I am probably, and it's going to sound terrible, but I will put myself before anybody and say, no, I'm going to go get my hair done, or no, I'm going to go get a massage, because I need that to be healthy. And it's okay. So if you need to do Ideal Protein, that's good. I needed to do Ideal Protein. And I made myself a priority for the first time in my life, and it has given me a whole different life.
That's awesome. I love that, because we have to, I always say, you know, if you put yourself first, you're going to be a better mom, a better partner, a better business person, because you'll be shining from the inside out. And those are, that it's so important that we're able to take care of others. We're taught to take care of everybody first, and then take care of yourself last. And really, we have to switch that mindset to be the best that we can be, so we can actually be in great health and in great attitude, and be able to take care of our families, and have control of our stress, and just have those strategies underway. And if that means that we have a counselor, or like you said, you go once a week and get some body work done to help you relieve your stress and your aches and your pains, or you go to the spa and you do a sauna and what have you. Those are important things that keep you healthy and keep your mind and attitude energized. And that's the only way that we're really going to be fresh for our families and be able to put them at the top of the list. All right, Sara, it's been awesome. You know how much I love you, and I can't wait to, in this new year, see some of your events coming up, and maybe I will be able to jump on an airplane and come out and hang out with you again, like I did for Cinco de Mayo, which was awesome. Sara, most incredible. My family is Hispanic, so I mean, to recreate rice and beans and a whole taco bar. Oh, one more thing. Let's talk about mocktails before we go, because Christmas is the cocktail time of the year, and Sara made this incredible like margarita bar at the Cinco de Mayo party. So tell us about what kind of mocktails people can make for the Christmas and New Year's holiday.
So I have some mulled cider, which is a big alcoholic beverage in the Midwest, that you can do in a crock pot. But then the Jordan Skinny syrups, they have several, and I don't know, varied on region. Where I'm at, we have stores called Tuesday Morning and Home Goods and TJ Maxx and all that. You can find the Jordan Skinny syrups very inexpensive there. And they have, I think there's a mistletoe martini, there's an apple teeny, and there was something else with mint and chocolate. And so I've done a couple in the past where I think it's a mint chocolate chip that I mix with the vanilla drink to make it kind of like a dessert cocktail. The apple martini and the mistletoe martini I've just done with sparkling water to give it that little fizz, and then, maybe put a slice of chayote in it, or I've done frozen rhubarb in it to make it look like it has little floating cranberries or whatever. It's more about, if it looks like it, then it is it, that kind of thing. And I've done eggnog, and I seen that Dee posted the eggnog syrup. That's the same thing that I use with ready to serve vanilla.
Oh, nice.
Because that's a big one, I'm trying to think of anything else. I do the tangerine water enhancer warmed, like tea. Okay. Almost like a hot toddy almost.
That's tasty.
Yeah, it's a little different because it's kind of potent since it's a lot less water. But it's something when it's cold outside, it really kind of just refreshes you.
Oh, nice. Oh, those are all great ideas. So, the one that you were talking about with the mint chocolate chip and the vanilla pre-made, that sounds like it could almost emulate like an espresso martini or that kind of thing. So that's something fun you could have for the holiday. You could maybe drizzle a little of the Walden Farms chocolate syrup in your martini glass and make it look spectacular. All right. That's a whole live show you should do, Sarah. The mocktail hour. Sarah's I just created something. Sarah's mocktail hour.
I love it.
Because if you know me, I love a cocktail. So yeah. So all right, you guys. So if you would like our holiday tips guide, and it's got some great recipes, just our traditional recipes that we can create in phase 1, and then a ton of tips for success during the holidays. Just type in the word holiday. And Sara, thank you so much. It's been great talking with you. I can't wait to connect with you again. And you guys go out and join Sara Mulero's Ideal Recipes page. I had to say that super slow because otherwise my tongue would die. And I'll put a link in the comments section to that. And Dee, we love you and we miss you. And Dee is going to be on next week, and we are going to be doing some fun stuff where we're going to do, a day in the life of Dee or a week in the life of Dee. I'm not sure how she has it planned, but she's going to basically be showing us how she eats during the holidays, how she eats while she's crazy busy running out and taking care of getting all her packages for her kids and cooking for her family and getting over to the clinic and coaching clients. And she's going to show us how she preps things and give us all kinds of ideas. So that's going to be a super fun show. So that's next week. We look forward to seeing you on Wednesday. All right, Sara. Bye. Love you. Bye, everybody.